Good afternoon on what is a cool, bright and sunny day. It is Tuesday the 17th of October. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a package to finish unboxing. Now I've pulled out several books from here, including the core rule book for Legends of the Five Rings. This is the version published by Edge Studio for Fantasy Flight Games, uses the Genesis system. Edge Studio is the French publisher, and this is the 5th edition of the role-playing game. Next, I pulled out The Emerald Empire, which is the setting book for Legend of the Five Rings. Legend of the Five Rings is the long-running role-playing game, originally published in the late 90s, designed by John Wick, set in the land of Rokugan, which combined Japanese, Chinese, and Korean myth, but essentially in a land which was based upon that of medieval Japan. Now what we've got is the Shadowlands, which is the source book for all of the woes in the land of Rokugan. So, Shadowlands. Enter the lands of evil. South of Rokugan lies the foul Shadowlands, the home of horrid demons and unnatural creatures. Centuries ago, the Crab clan built the huge Kai wall to contain these threats, but each day sees new assaults. Without samurai courage and honor to defend against the threats of the Shadowlands, the Emerald Empire would surely fall. Shadowlands explores these dark realms and the tainted creatures that fester within, as well as the samurai who do battle against them at the wall or beyond. In this sourcebook for Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game, you will find a wealth of information for gaming in the Shadowlands, as well as in Crab territories, including tales of the Shadowlands and its many vile denizens, and locations such as the festering pet of Fuleng, plus those of the Crab clan and the Kai War itself. Rules for the Falcon Minor clan, plus new schools, weapons, techniques, and weapon patterns designed to thwart the evils of the Shadowlands. GM support, including tips for running Shadowlands-themed adventures, rules for generating unique demonic Oni, and the guidance on using corruption in games. So here we've got actually depiction of the Kai Wall, maintained by the Crab Clan's engineers, and the festering Shadowlands beyond. And in many cases, with the Crab Clan, if you're a Bushi in the Crab Clan, you actually have to, when you go through your Genpuku, your ceremony to become an adult, you will have survived in the Shadowlands for a period of time. So we have the standard kind of image of Rokugan there, the mountains, and sort of like the bridge to a more serene location. So you have almost like a panoply of the lands of Rokugan in the frontispiece. And this is kind of standard to the line now, I see, before we see the front cover. Repeated again, sans text. Page of contents and credits. Before we open with some fiction, an encounter or discussion about the Shadowlands, and then we get onto the source book proper, where we have, welcome to the Shadowlands, explains what's in the book. So, as usual, explains what's in the book with an overview of the chapters, and then gives you a breakdown of what an adventure seed looks like for the rest of the book. And that's standard, really, for the entire line for Legends of the Five Rings. So, chapter 1 is the dark histories of the Shadowlands, how it came about. And so we've got the nature, discussing things like, the nature of the Shadowlands and Shadowlands terrain qualities. And then we have a map of southwest Rokugan. And you can see the change in terrain from Rokugan to the Shadowlands here, separated by that Kai Wall. And that's a really nice depiction. And you've got locations marked throughout both Rokugan and the Shadowlands are there. So this is essentially depicting the lands of the Crab and the domain of Fuleng. Again, it's a really nice map. It's an excerpt from the larger map of Rokugan, which the game uses. And we have a discussion even of the Shadowlands as sort of like as an entity in itself and an enemy that can strike at the spirit of the unwary. Discussion of the essentially the various beginning locations of the regions of the Shadowlands. You have a poor crab clan samurai about to be struck by a minor oni of goblin, and then we have sort of like the beginnings of, it's also talking about the Sea of Shadows and the Thorn Coast, because if you look on the map, the Shadowlands do run down to the coast there and into the sea. So here we begin with the creatures of the Shadowlands, like the Gasha Dokoro there, and just carrying on. We even have creatures that are taken from other Southeast Asian or Asian myths, like the Penanggalang. And not all of these are illustrated. That's a bit of a disappointment there. So you've got the Penanggalang. So not all of these are necessarily Japanese. We have a version of the Revenant as well. And then we have other locations like the Fallen Chrysanthemum Lake. And then the lake even has its own legends. We have adventure seeds fallen at the lake, and other characters that might be encountered there, like the Dark Moto Bushi, False Lantern Grove, Legends of the Lanterns, and so on, and then what the play characters might encounter in the Grove. And these really quite nice illustrations that sort of like just touch how creepy and weird and foul it is. Skull cleaving Oni. Sorry, just had another cat go by who's definitely not ours. And then we get onto the festering pit of Fuleng, from which much of this shadow effects and literally boils out of. And again, Legend of the Pit. And the Forgotten Tomb of Fuleng, and with Legends of the Tomb, the Lost Library, its legends, and it's following the same format throughout. And we have an adventure seed for the tomb, Crab from the Tomb. Daylight Castle, so basically just a sinister beacon in the Shadowlands, it describes itself as. And we have more, and then even in the glimmer of a light we have the darkness. That's a nice touch. It's talking about there might be a touch of lightness there, but it's still in the darkness. And you have notable NPCs and monsters to be encountered there. And then we have a discussion of the Nezumi, who are one of the non-human races in and around Rokugan. These are rat folk who are actually resistant to the shadow. So we've got different tales of them, their different clans, what Nezume life is like. And then we get the discussion of Crab Clan. And their families, the Hida, and their culture, reputation, and so on. And it's going to do the same for each of the various different families within the clan. So the Hida, the Haruma, the healer of the big warrior, of big mighty warriors, and so on. The Caillou are going to be the engineers who maintain the wall. So on. The Kuni are the Shugenja who hunt the taint of the shadow. Again, it's talking about things like, basically their current concerns, their lands, and so on. In each case, presenting them to making them sort of like giving plenty of background and detail. Well, then we have the Yasuki, who are their courtiers, who are actually merchants, and they're actually once part of the Crane family, and they're not really as courtiers. Well, actually, the thing is, the Crab Clan is quite looked down upon as a bunch of boors, really sort of like boorish warriors with no sophistication or subtlety. But the thing is, they needed to literally maintain the wall and protect the Empire from the effects of the Shadowlands. So they are much more direct and focused in that way. And now we actually move on to a discussion of the wall. We've got an actual picture of the Watchtower of Iron Duty, and it breaks down to be a nice illustration there of an outpost on the wall. Things like rumours on the wall. And you've got things like the journals of Caillou Suuchi. So you've got almost like a diary there, his commentary upon being stationed on the wall, and then going out into the Shadowlands to patrol it, to ensure that the forces of Shadow don't and Fulang don't encroach too closely upon the wall itself. It's going to happen, but they need to work down, basically, to keep them away. Then we have what happens when you return from the Shadowlands. The processes of dealing with people who've been out there, and then we have Honor Against Demons, Chapter 2, because that's quite a lot of information. You would have thought that the chapter on the Crab Clan would have actually been separate, but we have Honor Against Demons, the Falcon Clan who hunt demons. They're a minor clan, so you've got their history and background. Allies, they're associated with the Kuni, who hunt those infected with the Shadow. Notable figures of the Falcon Clan. Options in terms of player characters. You need the core rulebook for Crab Clan characters, of course. And we've got things here like, what does your character know? What does Bushido mean to your clan? The schools that you will join as a member of the Psycho Inquisitor School, Kaikita Swordsmith School, Kitsu Medical School, Kuni Warden School, which is a monks, Toritaka Phantom Hunter School, Shugenjas, and so on, Yogo Preserver School. You have a lot of the content that will be familiar from previous editions of the role-playing game, here presented in accessible format, in one place. You have Shadowlands advantages and disadvantages, including distinctions, passions, adversities, anxieties, tainted disadvantages because you could be tainted by the shadow. New samurai heritages for the region, essentially, what you have, what you gain from your ancestors. New weapons, including bows and crossbows, hammers and axes, even shields, which samurai don't normally use. Siege weapons and then armor. Signature scrolls, and item patterns for enhancement. artifacts of Shigu, reclining cultures, these are ancestral belongings, including cursed lineages, concealed horrors, and the like. So, you know, the effects of the Shadowlands can strike from down the ages, but can also have blessed treasures. And then we have new techniques, basically rituals. And then we get on to Maho, which is the blood magic, which is another way of it's powerful magic, but you will taint yourself with it. And again, the Kuni will hunt you out. And there is some advantage to using Maho in the Shadowlands. And then out of the shadows, he's got advice here on running Shadowlands games and those involving the Shadowlands. So you're dealing with horror themes. Discussing what horror elements to use, how to use Maho in connection with your characters or not. Don't advise it. Portraying how to portray the Shadowlands. Running a campaign on the wall and beyond. It really specifically would be primarily a crab game, and then we have new titles you can gain through play. So, for example, 20 Goblin Crab, which you typically gain through going out and killing 20 goblins. Witch Hunters of the Kuni Hunters of the Shadows, and those. And also those infected by Maho use. What happens if you spend opportunity in the Shadowlands? It doesn't go well always. So you have tainted opportunities, and opportunity amidst corruption. Dealing with the corruption of the Shadowlands. Even you've got advice on here on role playing the corrupted or an afflicted condition. And then how to create your own, only because you don't have to go by just these in this book. You can actually create your own, because it's the Shadowlands are essentially the effects are sort of are chaotic in nature, so it can create almost all manner of different dangers and threats. So yeah, you can, and even down to adding twisted goals. And then lastly, we have the tenets of Bushido, exploring the concept of the tenet of courage, which you do need in the face of the Shadowlands. And then we've got basically Dune Demeanors and NPC templates as the last thing in the book. So, and then again, more of another vista of Rokugan repeated from previous books. So that's Shadowlands, the essential guide to the Dominion of Fuling for Legends of the Five Rings, 5th edition. If you've enjoyed this unboxing in Nook, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in Nook, where you will see me out here with a parcel containing a book or game which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.